Chambers, meeting with the Economic Development Authority, 7:30 on August 5th. We'll now call the meeting to order. Let's do the roll call. Mr. Chansky?
Bevins.
Here.
O'Day.
Here.
Johnson.
Present.
Beezer.
Here.
Kirsch. And Erickson.
Here. Approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. About the minutes of the last meeting, did you get a chance to read them? Need a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. We'll move to the financial report. Connie? Connie's not here.
Connie's on the WebEx.
Fair week, Wayne.
Oh,
Saw Connie at the fair
From the
last night.
sheep barn.
Lori, the WebEx is still muted, by the way.
I'm already
So Connie doesn't.
camera on.
Connie, you're on. Sorry, I forgot we were muted.
That's okay. But it looks like we're talking about the financial report. I have nothing to add
Move to approve.
unless there's any questions.
Second Johnson.
okay, motion to approve the financial report. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. We have updates and Executive Director, Mrs. Bergman, would you please update us?
Sure. So I just have a couple of items today for update for you. I continue to talk about the sesquicentennial, so I just want to kind of give everybody an update on the sesquicentennial. We are having that from September 18th to the 25th, and all of the events really are starting to kind of come together. On the 18th, the airport is going to have an event from 9 until 3, and they're calling it Taking Off into the Sesquicentennial. The 18th in the evening, the JCs will be doing their rubber ducky race. And then we are planning a kickoff proclamation and city council alumni event on Sunday evening, where we're going to ask council members and then alumni to attend and answer 3 questions. Number 1, their name. Number 2, the terms or the years that they served. And then number 3, their most proud accomplishment during their term. On the 20th at City Hall, we're going to have an open house and a historic display, so you can walk through City Hall and kind of see the generations or decades probably of things that have happened in the city of Brainerd. The DDBC is going to be doing a special Here for Good market. While they end at the end of August, they're going to do one on the 21st from 3 to 7 p.m. There will also be history walks for sure that day and hopefully that week. 22nd, planning a trivia night. And then there's downtown scratch-off sales that'll happen during that week. The MP Center will be doing an event on the 23rd. The Crossing will be doing a dedication on the 24th. The courthouse will have an open house on the 24th, as will the Crow Wing Historical Society have an open house as well as a grand opening that week. The 25th is kind of our bookend date, and that will start with the Stride and Seek that Sheila D. Chantel does. And then in the afternoon from noon until 4, the Brainerd Parks and Rec Department will be doing their sesquicentennial bash at Gregory Park. They have different activities planned for each quadrant. And then that will end with the JC's Street Fest that night. So there are still other items that are in the works. I think we had talked about Stage North potentially doing their production those 2 weekends. They aren't. They're going to be doing that in October. But they do have little snippets that they'd like to have in some of our events that they could just perform little snippets and maybe give a teaser. There's a flapjack event that's in the works. And then a couple of ribbon cuttings. We're hoping Memorial Park will do their ribbon cutting that week, as well as Rotary Riverside Park. So just a big thank you to our partners, our community partners, really, who have kind of stepped forward and created events that can help the city celebrate their 150th. Then just a couple of brief things. The City Council did approve moving to a permanent Public Works Department. As you know, we did an interim Public Works Department this this year, and it's going extremely well. So we will be transitioning into a permanent Public Works Department in 2022. We also have had a lot of discussion lately about kind of getting our PEG channel back, our Public Education Government channel back, and beginning to once again stream our council meetings on cable. Of course, all of our council meetings are streamed on YouTube, but we've been working with both Charter, CTC, and then also CLC to see if there's a way we can maybe do a bigger program or have something bigger be done on the PEG channel. And then last but not least, I don't know if David was going to talk about this, but on Monday night, the City Council and the County Board had a joint meeting to hear a presentation from MnDOT, just kind of the start of the discussion of the reconstruction of 210. That will go from Baxter Drive all the way to Pine Shores. And that reconstruction is planned for 2025, but I think we all recognize that we really have an opportunity here. These are the gateways to our community, both on the west and the east side of 210. So I thought it was a really good meeting. The MnDOT proposed 3 different scenarios, at least for Mill and 210, but there will be more to come. This really was just the first event or kickoff in order to get input from our elected officials. So I thought it was a really productive meeting. And that is all I have, Mr. Chair.
Good, thank you, Jennifer. Is there any questions for Jennifer from the commission here? Questions or comments? All right, thank you very much. Let's move on then to Eric from the HRA.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commission members, a few updates today, what we've been working on the last month or so. As you have all heard, I'm sure, a number of times with Crow Wing County HRA, we do have this housing trust fund. We've been working with Minnesota Housing Partnership for the last roughly 11 months, 10 months now, to try to move us along to get documentation ready, but then we also have an eye on hopefully finding or attracting some development and developers in particular. So we did have Minnesota Housing Partnership up in the Brainerd Lakes area on July 22nd, which was great. It was the first time that we had the opportunity to be face-to-face with them. Usually that happens right away when they start a grant, but due to COVID, they weren't able to get up here until then. Really had 3 main things that we wanted to do with their time that day. Number 1, kind of give them a lay of the area. We took them on a little bit of a tour, Brainerd and Baxter, showed them some open land, not necessarily land that the HRA owns, but land that could be potentially developable, so they can kind of get their minds around what we have available out there. Second thing, we wanted to get some economic development folks in the room with MHP with us to, number 1, give them an update on the 4 programs that we're looking at for the trust fund, and then get a good discussion really revolving on around what our issues are with housing. Obviously, we know that housing is much needed in this area, as you heard from Tyler as well. You know, housing, we need workers, we also need daycare. So we had a good discussion with Greater Lakes Association of Realtors, with Bladek. We did have Commissioner Barrows from Crow Wing County. We had one of our commissioners from the HRA side of things, and Mike Bjerknes was there from Workforce as well. So it was a good conversation, and hopefully that gives them a little bit more breadth of what we have going on in our communities. So again, MHP can go back and try to move us forward on that. The third session of the day really brought together cities of Brainerd and Baxter. So City Administrator Bergman, City Administrator from Baxter, and then both of their development directors. So Mr. Chansky was there as well. Again, to facilitate a conversation on what the city's needs are, what the councils are bringing back to those cities to say what we need for housing in the area, and again, to highlight what we are hoping to bring with this housing trust fund. So a lot of good conversation. We did a debrief with Minnesota Housing Partnership. Again, we would like to eventually, hopefully, host some developers to say, hey, this is what we've got going on here. We have a desperate need for housing, and move that forward with some good partnerships. So again, all in all, positive day. We're happy to get them up here, and we'll see. We're hopeful to get these programs rolled out very, very soon. And I think there'll be some good partnerships. I know a lot of the marketing from Bladek, from the Chamber, from GLAR, they are very excited to try to promote these programs for us to get some of those dollars working out there. North Star Boiler. North Star, again, is our high-rise building. I think I've mentioned that we've gotten into a pretty big project to replace water heaters and the boilers over there, about a $900,000 project, so it's a pretty big infrastructure project for us. Dealing with a little bit of delays, mainly on pumps, it sounds like. We're still hopeful that we get that project completed by the end of September now. It was going to be end of August. Did get pushed about a month, but that's going to be a great project for that building. Again, as we continue to maintain that building, it's built in the late 60s, but if you ever have a chance to walk through there, it does not look at that. Does not look its age. So we're excited about that project. Hiring, just an update on hiring, as I know the city and really every business out in the area, we're hiring a few spots right now and have had some challenges. We have teamed up with the city of Brainerd. We've been able to get onto their NeoGov site to actually have people submitting resumes through the NeoGov website, which we did not have that ability before. That has really led to a huge uptick in us getting some resumes. We're really thrilled. I've got an interview at 11 today. We've had a handful of interviews this week. So I've got 2 positions that I'm hopeful to get filled before the end of the week, at least get offers and hopefully acceptances. But again, appreciate the work that the city of Brainerd has done. Chris Schubert has been great for us to help us onboard that. And lastly, back on July 26th, we had the Minnesota National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials, Minnesota NARO. They were up at Madden's having a leadership conference for 3 days. That first Monday, I actually was able to take a group of about 21 housing officials from Madden's, give them a little bit of a tour of our downtown to highlight what we've been doing in the last 5-6 years, not just HRA, but Destination Downtown, the DDBC. It was a great opportunity to show off the great work that has happened in downtown. Obviously, EDA has been very instrumental in that as well. So it's never exciting to necessarily listen to me for 45 minutes, but I think we got the point across. We had a group. We had a group take some pictures in front of the You Betcha mural again. That shows that it's a draw down there, and that placemaking does bring people down there, brings some excitement. People are going to go back to their communities and be like, "Hey, look at what Brainerd did." The great stark contrast that I can show them every time is what happened with Bob and Fran's. The storefront, beautiful new awning, uncovered those windows, and then you show them what's on the east side of that, and the covered up windows. And that stark contrast really drives that point home of what some of those small business dollars that John works with can utilize and really beautify those storefronts. So again, just a great opportunity to show off what we've done. These are officials from throughout the state, and to get some emphasis on what we're doing. And again, it's not always in our nature as Minnesotans to brag about what we do, and it's good to take that opportunity. If anyone has any questions, be happy to answer them. If not, that's all I have.
Did you by chance get to show them the NP Center too?
Did not get a chance to go out there. It was strictly downtown. So, Mike, obviously you're doing a great job out there, and we're excited about that. And you guys have got a lot of good development going on down there. So at some point, would love to get some more people out there. And they do typically come up, in the spring, I want to say. So if their executive director had a good experience, it's definitely on the table to travel around the rest of the community to do that. Good question.
All right. Yes, Gabe?
Yeah, the May conference, we did go to NP Center 4 years ago,
Yeah.
3 years ago maybe. It was before most of the development that's happened out
Sure.
there.
This would be a good time
Recently,
to-
it might be a good time to go back
sure.
and show them again, but we showed them Roundhouse and the blacksmith
Oh, yep.
event space a few
Yeah.
years ago. But
So it'd be a good idea.
seeing the progress of what's happened in the last 4 years would be pretty cool.
Absolutely. If Mike would be amenable to that.
I don't know.
All right, and I do apologize. I don't think I got John's report into the packet, so that's my fault. If John wants to talk, he certainly can give you an update on what's been going on. And maybe he wants to talk a little bit about, a small business SBDC loan that we'll be looking at maybe for 2025 for Washington Street to go and coincide with the restructuring of Washington. So, thank you.
Thank you, Eric. John, would you like to update a little bit here?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So the Northeast Small Cities Grant is coming to a close here the end of September. So we're going to be working on wrapping that up. We do have a single owner occupied home that we signed contracts on, should be done middle of next month is what we're being told. So looking forward to 2025, as Eric had mentioned, with the rework of 210, the goal would be to apply to small cities for some funding for what they call streetscape. It's small things like benches, trash containers. It's something that I think would coincide well with the project. And at that time, we'd like to look at doing some housing rehab in the general area, hopefully. So again, that process would start in 2023. If we get the green light to go ahead, the application goes in 2024 and hopefully funded later in 2024 for work to start in 2025. So I think it'd be a good time for it. In regards to some of the other stuff we have going around the county, we do have small cities applications in for Jenkins and Garrison. We have not heard back on funding on either of those yet. We continue to work with MHFA for housing rehab, and again, that's throughout the county. We've seen a strong uptick in that. We have 3 projects right now that are bidding, and I have a couple applications that we're working through to process. So kind of a overall view of everything. Any questions for me on anything?
Anything from anyone?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Appreciate you guys' report. Mr. Chansky, do you have, or I'm sorry, Tyler, excuse me.
That's okay, Wayne. I don't mind being missed every once in a while. Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everyone. First, I want to thank Eric and John for inviting Mike and I over to that meeting with MHP. It was really a good meeting to be involved with. I think the folks at MHP certainly get an idea of what's going on in this community, in this region, when they attend a meeting like that and have the ability. I know John took them around the area and showed them some space, so it's good for them to get their eyes on that. Eric will have to, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but Dolly Matten from GLAR attended that meeting, and she indicated this is the first time in history that she's aware of anyway, that the housing stock in Crow Wing County is under 1 month availability. So what that means, Eric maybe can explain it better in regards to it's available housing stock. If they did not bring any more housing stock onto the market in the next 30 days, we would have nothing left.
Dolly also mentioned that a healthy seller's market, which we are certainly in a seller's market, is typically 4 to 5 months of housing. So we're in an extreme seller's market because there's only 30 days of housing. Again, that's an issue. Obviously, we need more housing before we can even think about bringing more people to the community. We barely have enough housing for the community.
Yeah, so it was an interesting comment on her behalf, and I know that, the housing study that the HRA commissioned at the end of 2019 indicated that in the next 10 years we're looking at a deficit of 4,400 units of housing. So it is a major problem. It's a huge issue throughout the county, but here locally it is an issue as well. So it was good to get to attend that meeting so that we have an understanding, and then Minnesota Housing Partnership has an understanding of what we're looking at from employment numbers and certainly our housing stock that exists today. So it was good to attend that. This afternoon I'll be meeting with a local developer along with some lenders in the area to understand what type of incentives are possible for a developer in our communities, and see if we can put some people in the same room to understand what they need possibly from our cities to bring developments in. Understand that everybody's looking at the same things. Everybody wants the same types of incentives. We just have to be smart about what's being offered and what's being considered by a developer. So hopefully we'll be able to give an update on that next month. Yeah, a couple of Eric's one of his hires is coming through Mike's program, I think from our office. He currently has 4 accounting positions that are open. Two of them exist in the city of Brainerd. One of them is CFO, and then one with the HRA. Just to give you guys an understanding of what we're dealing with and what Mike's dealing with, and he said this happens every few years, but right now, because of the demand for those types of positions, he's had the CFO position for Stern companies. He's had two people that have accepted the offers, went back to their employers, and their employers bumped their pay to the tune of what they were being offered to go to work as a CFO, and they both rejected the offers. So what's happening right now is these people are in high demand, a great employee. So as we look at, even as we look at attraction, we have to understand retention as well. So he said, it happened a few years ago, but not to the extent that it's happening today. So it is an employee market right now as well. So employees can certainly play their cards correctly and take jobs or not take jobs, but it's an interesting time for employers and employees, certainly. We're partnering with the Brainerd Chamber in early September, and we're putting together a focus group, bringing together our employers in the community to try and understand what it is that they're dealing with right now as far as maybe it's benefits, maybe it's attraction, but also retention. As you know, a couple of our larger manufacturers in the area recently raised their starting wage to $17 an hour, Klaus Stamping and Lexington. And Lexington is also offering a $2,500 signing bonus. So the push to attract good employees and to keep them around is certainly big, but we're trying to put a program together with the chamber to put a retention program in place so that we can continue to attract people into our community, which is one of our three biggest problems right now: housing, employees, and childcare. So we're working with them on that. So that's a big undertaking for both of our organizations. So we're excited to work with them on that. For those of you in the room that are fans of the YMCA, a few years ago we had created a youth entrepreneur fund. The youth entrepreneur fund that we created was to work with our Brainerd High School students through the Junior Achievement Program. And that Junior Achievement Program put students into an entrepreneurial class, and then they created their own companies over a semester. We, as an organization, helped fund that. So we would fund their companies for the semester. Every one of them then, once they borrowed money from us, they would turn around, obviously, and pay the loan back when the semester was over. A couple of those businesses were picked up by their parents, so that was kind of exciting a couple years ago. Obviously, last year we didn't do this because of COVID. They didn't allow they allowed the class, but the kids weren't allowed to create companies and go out and sell their goods. So, but when we started that, we also did one with the YMCA. I don't know if some of you remember that, but we had a pretty big kickoff for them. We funded a program where they brought in youth sports equipment, turned around and resold it. It was they borrowed $500, I believe, from us at the time, and they ended up paying the loan back and then had an extra $1,000 that those kids donated to local charities. So a really good program, something that's pretty fun for the Y and their kids to do. We've done that again. A couple of weeks ago, I met with the kids out at Camp Vanasek, and they're creating a camp store through the YMCA, and they'll both have it at Camp Vanasek as well as at the downtown location, where they'll be selling some of the Y stuff, if you will. But it was cool. It was 5th and 6th graders making a presentation. So as all of you know, entrepreneurs, and especially these young kids, getting them into understanding business, they create a marketing team, they create a finance team, they have people with that understand their supply chain. So with the assistance of the Y staff, so very happy that this fund still exists inside of Bladek, and we funded them $500 to get this up and running. So pretty fun thing for us to do, and a really good thing for the Y to have their kids doing. The last thing I'll update you guys on is I'm currently in the process of working through the RFP for Deeds Main Street Revitalization Program. This program was primarily created for, I'd say, the metro area, but I will preface that by saying that there's $80 million in this fund. This fund was created through ARP money that the state received. So they have $80 million into a fund to allow for, or let's just call it communities, but also partner organizations to complete an RFP and submit a request for grant funds. There's $40 million which will go out here in the fall, and then another $40 million that will go out in the spring of 2022. We are going to apply and create the RFP on behalf of the Y and their daycare facility, their redevelopment facility that they're looking at. They have a purchase agreement on a building downtown. If they're able to purchase this building and get it to the state that they need it, it will add 83 or 85 daycare slots in Brainerd. So it's a pretty exciting project for them. But again, the challenge with this is that the state will not allow Bladek to apply just solely for the YMCA. And the reason for that is that they're looking for, we are eligible, but I was told from the chair or the executive director of DEED that a one-off request would not fly. So that's the challenge with this. And so what we've done is we're partnering with the Initiative Foundation. The Initiative Foundation will put in a request for probably between 8 to 10 projects for about $2.5 million and submit it as a partner organization. So as they do that, if their full request is funded, then the WISE program will get funded, or the WISE grant application will get funded as well. So we were told that putting it in that way has a much better chance of getting that one particular project funded. So this, the grant will be up to $300,000. So it's a nice push for them to get some funding into that project. I will say that the way that this is designed is that it's broken out as a 65-35 split, which might not make a ton of sense, but what it means is that there's two, they'll call them regions in the state, and it's the 7-county metro and greater Minnesota. So when there's a 65-35 split in the funds, so 65% of this will end up either in greater Minnesota or in the 7-county metro. All of us in the room know where the money's gonna end up. And the reason that I say that is that in the qualifying conditions, the very first bullet point in the qualifying conditions to be included is widespread arson and civil unrest. So knowing that that is one of the bullets for this, also natural disasters, but major plant closures, significant commercial vacancies, and or the loss of economic anchor institutions. But it's a renovation of real property, building construction, so those are eligible uses. But we're putting our best foot forward. We're going to apply on behalf of the Y. I think this is a great opportunity for us to potentially get some grant funds into that project and be a really good redevelopment project for us. So we are moving forward with that. The RFP dropped on Tuesday afternoon. We have 26 days to complete it and get it back to the state. So we'll get it out of our office hopefully in the next 10 to 12 days and get it into the IF's hands and then let them take the rest of it. So that's what we've got going on. So if anybody has any questions for me, happy to answer.
Any questions from the commission? Anyone? Thank you, Tyler. Yeah, that'd be great if maybe you could throw some names out, Kelly's or Gabe's, or maybe that would help on getting those funds.
Well, absolutely. I'll do that for sure.
Maybe burning some buildings down will help too. I've got a couple that we could burn down.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I wasn't going to. But it is that's the challenge with this when they lump this together and the 7-county metro obviously is going to get 65% of this money. We know that. So if we can get some good projects, and the Initiative Foundation hasn't told me what other projects they're going to submit, but they have communities requesting this, so they'll do their best to get this out there, and we'll write the best proposal we can.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
I have a comment, Mr. Chair.
please.
And I've mentioned this time and time again throughout the decades. Sorry, I'm old. But Tyler, if there is, we always have lots of great programs, downtown, small cities, the Northeast program. in 3 years, 4 years, we're gonna be ramping up for possibly the biggest project this community has seen since the South Sixth Street project, and that'll be the 210 corridor. Any chance, and I hear this time and time again as a business owner on Washington Street, to make some available funds to those businesses, because what a time to take advantage of the opportunity when that's gonna be torn up anyway. I'll give an example that I personally am not necessarily in favor of, but one that gets brought up all the time, is an overpass or underpass on 210. Now, whether you're in favor of it or not, no doubt, let's not start thinking about that as the tar is setting. Let's think about it now. Same thing with all the questions of how to beautify Washington Street, especially since the buildings are so close to the right of way, if not right on the right of way. What can we do? What can we suggest or propose? And are there funds available? In 20 years, there's never been funds available for those businesses. So, anyway.
And right now, there's money out there. There really is. There's no doubt about it. And I think that there's.
How do we make that known?
That's a great question, and I hadn't thought about that, but it's a great thing to dig
Well,
into.
we've had 4 years.
I appreciate
and
that.
Rest assured, that will go fast.
I'm a big fan of the overpass, Kelly.
Okay, great.
Big fan.
I know there are a lot of people who
I-
support that.
Yeah.
Overpass in Brainerd?
Yeah, overpass, a pedestrian, non-motorized.
Yep.
Over or underpass to
Right, to cross the street.
I just had a meeting on the South Sixth Street between Gregory Park and Washington. It's 2 blocks. But at one time, that was the primary pedestrian gateway to downtown. It was a tree-lined with a center median, park and fountain on one end, downtown on the other. It was the way people moved from their houses to downtown businesses. Right now, that's about the most complicated thing that you could ever get, trying to cross Washington. So when Tyler says I'm in favor of it, I get that. I get that, especially if you're trying to promote downtown
Absolutely.
and walkability.
I'll give you if I can take a second, I'll give you an interesting example of why I'm in favor of the overpasses. So where we live in Nisswa, right outside of Grandview's property, they're putting in a roundabout now. They're going to be in the next year, I believe. They're putting in a roundabout that is right in front of the entrance of the lodge and also the entrance to the golf course. And it's going to cost them about $5 million to put this roundabout in there, where they have high points on both sides of the property, where our homeowners association said, why don't you put in an overpass, a really cool bridge? Grandview can put their name on it for all anybody cares, but what it'll allow is it would have allowed bikes and pedestrians to cross that road safely, because it is kind of a tough road. What I was told, somebody needs to die first before they'll consider something like that. They think the roundabout makes more sense. The roundabout, this roundabout down here is fantastic, down by the Essentia Sports Center. They did a great job down there. That's cool. But coming downtown, it's an easy way to cross that street and to bring more businesses, more people, and make it a walkable. I know you guys are talking about, you've got a committee, I think, put together for creating a walkable community. That's a great step forward.
We just disbanded that one.
Darn it.
But
I saw it in the agenda.
And that's why I bring this up now, Mr. Chair, and I didn't mean to reopen the gate on this, but we have some time. We have a committee that we could reinitiate or reinvigorate with the charge of how to make this corridor more non-motorized friendly. I don't want to just say walkable or bike. So,
No,
that's it.
thank you.
I really think that you guys all understand what I'm saying. Take advantage of the time we have now, front page of the paper, about the council getting its first look at this 4 years in advance. Let's do it now. John.
Yes, John.
Mr. Chair, Councilman Bevins, one piece to that small cities grant that would be in there would be commercial rehab to help the businesses along there. So it would be proposed to be similar like downtown, an 80-20 split. Currently, the program guidelines are up to $40,000, 10-year deferred loan for that.
And who does a business owner contact? And how would they have known this if they weren't sitting in this room?
We contact them.
Well, we start, okay,
get the grant first.
That's part of that, what I
Oh.
said, that'll start in 2023.
okay.
In 2023, we have to start gathering if there's enough people interested, so that's, at that time, around June of 2023, sometime in the summer, we will reach out to, we have to define an area, we'll reach out to the businesses along there to see if they'd be interested and willing to participate, as well as to property owners for homeowners, rental property in that area that's established. So that is on our radar, that's part of that,
Excellent.
that we would work towards, so I just wanted to at least mention that we're working for an option for those property owners in that area.
But that's a year and a half down the road.
Yeah, we can't do anything with it till 2023 is the earliest that we can do that, so. Thank you.
Good point, Kelly.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Can I ask another question?
Please.
So I'm so sorry, because.
Kelly is active today.
I'm the first one who wants to go. Tell me, I was ready at 7:35. I apologize because I was only able to meet the last half of the meeting. What's going on at the old Esser's Liquor Store? Boy, I see new windows going in. It's all cleared out inside there. It's painted on the front. Anybody have any idea? It would be interesting to see what's going on. It's a very, one thing is, if it's on Washington Street, you can't hide it, right? So
Yeah, if
it's like standing naked in front of your window.
Yeah, Ed Mattson was trying to put a barbecue joint in there a few years ago, but that was pre-COVID, so I have no idea what he's doing now. But last I knew, Ed Mattson owned
Okay,
that building.
just thought I would ask. Looks sort of interesting. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll shut up now.
All right, thank you. Mr. Chansky, is it time for old business?
Yep. If the commission thinks, if you think it's ready time for old business,
You're the chair.
I'll get coffee. We could be there a while.
so I'll kick the discussion off here on the 2020 budget levy, and then I'll pass it over to Connie, who can get into the nitty-gritty details of it. Essentially, what we're looking for the EDA to do today is discuss and to send to the city council its 2022 levy. This is not your budget. This is a levy. This is the amount that goes on the city's overall levy. As a reminder to what I presented a couple months ago, the EDA does have its own levy. Connie will go into exactly what that levy is. It's in the memo. But it is part, unlike the HRA, the EDA levy is part of the city's overall levy. So what we like the EDA to do is try to set that levy early on in the budget cycle, so generally in the beginning of August, so that it can be sent to the city council, because the city council is now starting their 2022 budget process. So it helps them to know what that EDA's request is when they're discussing their all over budget, because it is part of the city's levy. And the city has to set its preliminary levy by September 30th. So that's why we're asking for that to happen now. The city council will be having a budget workshop at the end of this month as well. So with that, Connie, I'll turn it over to you if you just want to go over the nitty-gritty details of the levy.
I just want to share one item too, with the ARP funds that the city is going to be receiving. When the last time we talked, we didn't know the amount we were going to be getting and that kind of stuff. We did get 50% of the ARP funds at the end of July, and that amount was just under $711,000. So the city is expecting to receive about $1.4 million of ARP funds directly from the state. So just wanted to provide that update. So in regard to the 2022 levy and budget discussion, as David mentioned, the EDA levy is part of the city levy. What we need from the EDA is to request the preliminary EDA levy. Usually, historically, the EDA has always levied or requested the city to levy the maximum amount allowed by state statute. And for 2022, that amount is $145,036. And in the memo, I explained how that was calculated. This is about $11,000 more than what the EDA was allowed to levy in 2021. I guess we don't need to determine line items right now. In the packet, we included, can you hold on one more? In the packet, we included just a couple line items. We included the levy amount, the interest amount, and then we did include the membership to the Initiative Foundation, which was included in your packet. The request is the same as the 2021 request. So we don't need to get involved or to discuss today unless the commission wants to, the specific line items. What we're looking for is the amount of the current ad valorem amount.
All right, I'll need a motion.
I have
to-
a motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Gabe.
I'd move that we request to levy the maximum amount for the EDA and remove all expenditures already listed from the budget, and I so move.
Second.
A second from Kelly. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, that motion is carried. Thank you, Mr. Chansky, and for Connie for updating us on that. Mr. Chansky, you have anything else?
Yeah, just, is my mic on? Yep. I just wanted to just add in there, as Connie said, we had that request from the Initiative Foundation. No need to act on that now. We're gonna.
We just
talking-
acted, we took it
Well-
out. We took it out.
Was that you denying the request? Or-
It's not part of the budget yet.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get to, is this, we just put it in there, we had received it, so you know that that it has been received, that's why it was in there, was so you know it has been received. We'll be coming back in September, discuss the line items for the budget. Also in there was a request from the DDBC, again, just so you have it, it's in your packet for discussion later on, that's why those were added in there. So that's all we have for, the budget for this time round, and then what we'll be working on for September is preparing for the discussion with the EDA to start discussing the actual expenditure line items and what you want to be looking for the 2022 budget.
I have a question if I can wait.
Okay, yes.
All right, I have a question, and we received a request from the Initiative Foundation, and that made its way into what staff already put in the expenditures. And we received a request from DDBC, but that didn't make its way in. How did staff make the determination on what they add into the budget and what they do not add into the
So
budget?
two things to answer your question, Commissioner Johnson. One, we weren't necessarily looking, Connie put that in there not for the EDA to approve this budget today. She just, I think, put it in there because we had requested it, and it's the same as last year, so just to give an idea, I think she just put that in there. She also had not seen the DDBC request. That came directly to me, and that was after this memo had been formed. So she didn't see that, so that's why it wasn't added in there. And I think Connie just plugged it in there because it's been in there in the past. Was not expecting the council, the EDA, I'm sorry, to be approving that today. I think she just plugged it in there because that's what's, so she could see that it's been the same over the last few years.
Thank you.
Any other comments from commissioners? Thank you, Mr. Chansky. Any other things, Mr. Chansky?
I have nothing on the budget.
Okay, new business. Any new business?
No items for this meeting, Mr. Chair.
Nothing? All right. Yes.
I do have a question. Can we go over, I know in the packet we had that to-do list or the mindful list. Are we going to go over that during new business, or what point in this meeting are we going over that? Just keep scrolling.
The goals down.
Yeah, the goals. Is that part of?
That's that would be next under information.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Goals, let's do that update now.
Yep, so this is, I put this in here as I told the EDA last month, that we would just be, at least for the next, probably through the end of this year, putting these in there monthly as updates. Once we kind of get going, it might be more like quarterly, because month to month, sometimes things don't, there's not a lot of changes, versus quarterly, you might see more changes. But I did say I would put in there monthly, so that's what we have in there. A few updates just from myself that I can call out, is under that second goal, where we actually, I need to update it to include the individual goals, those individual sub goals that we had in there. Excel was just not cooperating with me. Is when it comes to that property analysis of the underutilized properties. I've been working on that. At this point, I've actually identified 15 properties from throughout the city. And what I'm working on now is starting to assess those properties for future possible uses. Also keeping in mind the new zoning code update, which really for most of these properties isn't going to change what their overall use is going to be. So looking at what possible uses could those be, my hope is to present those findings to you in the either September or October, depending on what our September budget looks like, what our September agenda looks like with the budget. I want to be conscious of that. So we're working on that, hoping to have that with you in the next few months. And then once I present that to the EDA, get the EDA's kind of feel and direction on how you want to move forward with that, then we'll keep moving forward with that process. And then also same thing with the inventory of the city's industrial park property to see if there's any compatible non-industrial uses with those. I'm working on right now doing an inventory of all industrial park property, both and I want to try to do it separated off of what the city still owns versus similar to what we did before with the other one was what are other industrial lots that are vacant but maybe not city owned, and kind of separate those two out because obviously the city has more control over the ones they own than the ones they don't own. But doing the same for those. And then on the creating a cohesive marketing strategy, I know, Jennifer, do you want to give a little update on some discussions you've had on that?
I sure can. So our communications intern and I have met with Mary Devine Johnson from Visit Brainerd. We are starting to put together, at least at a minimum, a relocation packet that will be going, or a new resident packet that will be going in on our website and pulling some information together for that. Our communications intern will have that completed by the time her internship is done. So that's at least just a start, and hoping that we can get some kind of relocation packet together for people who are relocating to the city of Brainerd, or just enticing people to locate into Brainerd.
Yes.
I just have a follow-up question to that. Do you have, or do we have a spot where it's starting new businesses in the Brainerd Lakes area?
No, that's a great point. I will have our intern work on that as well. Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to say that's a great idea, Tony.
And Mr. Chair, those are all the major updates that I would have to call out for this month. Are there any other questions from the commission on the goals update?
Yes, Eric?
I just want to make a comment. In speaking with Mr. Higgins since the last council meeting, it sounds like he has taken care of one of our main issues with that thing we were just speaking about. He has essentially a business incubator system in place with a waiting list. So it's working. And as long as people are aware of it, I think it's going to be a great fit for the downtown area.
Okay. Anything else with the goals? All right. Any other new business? We're at the commissioner's comments. Questions? Anybody?
I'll just comment on behalf of the council, of which 3 of the 7 of us are here, but I'll just say the odds are pretty good we're going to get that maximum levy in the budget this year, so.
Thank you. That's refreshing to know. I doubt that was a concern of anybody's. Yes, Tony?
I just want to say I'm really excited for all the opportunities that this community, it sounds like we have opportunities for funding and money coming this way, and it sounds like we are on the right track to try to ask for that money. And yeah, I'm just excited to see that we are on the forefront, not the back front of making a positive change.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a little bit of update on for DDBC as well. You saw the request coming through in the packet this week, but We just have seen so much progress with the hiring of the coordinator that we were able to bring on board with the funds from EDA. I don't know if any of you have had the opportunity to check out the downtown market that's Tuesday afternoons, but Riley Weber, our coordinator, has really taken the lead on getting that going. And I was on the committee that started the farmers market, like getting that back in downtown, but Riley's really taken the lead on that and couldn't have done it without her help. And we've just seen so many positive changes come through with her help. And with that, we're looking forward to doing a fundraising campaign this fall so that we can self-fund that position. And then with that kind of taken care of, we're looking forward to other projects we can expand on in 2022. So yeah, I just will say we've had just such a positive change with bringing her on board and really building relationships with the downtown community business owners, being able to reach out to them more with the help of staff support. And it's been, a lot of positive changes, and we look forward to carrying that forward moving on. So,
Thank you. Good, excellent. Anything else from anybody?
Is there public comments?
I'd allow it, but you're the chair.
Yes, I do.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Higgins. I own Brainerd Industrial Center in the Northern Pacific Center. I know a lot of people. I know who everybody is. I just like to introduce myself. First time I've ever been in an EDA meeting in 7.5 years I've been here. Gabe and Mike lied to me. They said it was quick, and
We're out in less than an hour. That's a quick. Welcome to government.
okay. So I'd just like to give you guys an update on my two properties quickly. BIC has been up and down the last 7 years, and very happy to say that it's pretty stable right now. We've got Barrett Pet Foods leasing about half the building, and we've got Lexington Manufacturing doing a third-party logistics warehouse program that takes a quarter of the building, and we've just signed agreements with a new local manufacturer that's going to be doing third-party logistics, warehousing, and storage in there. So I would say by first quarter of '22 that we're probably looking at having 50 plus full-time employees working there between the three entities. And we're just super happy that it is stable and profitable, and we can start investing money into that property the way we want to. It's been a tough road. It's been a lot of ups and downs. I've told a lot of people when I bought BIC that it was kind of like jumping off a cliff, and I built an airplane on the way down, thought it was going to crash. Volkswagen came along, of course, and then all of a sudden we were flying and spitting and sputtering, and now it just really looks solid. So as far as economic development, I think that's long-term going to be a success, and I'm just excited to see what happens over the next 5 to 7 years with everything that's going on in the economy. Northern Pacific Center, me and my wife purchased that, and we are pretty dumbfounded in what's happening there right now. The growth and lease activity and people that are coming there every day are amazing. It just keeps getting busier and busier and busier, and we've been pretty quiet about it all. We haven't advertised a lot. We've just kind of stuck our nose to the grindstone and worked and did build outs and took care of our tenants and our customers, and the people are coming. So we're super excited about having Northern Pacific Center hooked to downtown. The city's talking about a trail system, and we've been very involved with them, and we're super excited to see a possibility of downtown Brainerd being connected with a designated walkable, bikeable path. So, I just want you guys to know that we're open for any of those discussions, and anything we can do as a private developer to help move that along, we're willing to. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is our shops program that we've just opened. It was something that we tried last fall before the Christmas season, and we had a few vendors or we call them district partners, move in and start shops, and it was a huge success. We've recently are starting to redevelop about 15,000 square foot of the convention center for those vendors. We've got 6 of them moved in there and open. We've got room for 6 more, and we have taken on under our wing our first person that we're going to help start a business. So we've got a young lady that is into pottery and really doesn't know how to start a business, and me and my wife have just kind of fell in love with her and decided to take her under our wing, and we're going to do a build out for her. And she's going to put some pottery wheels and some kilns in. She's going to sell pottery supplies, and at some point eventually start teaching the craft of pottery. We're super excited about that. We love this experience-based retail. You know, the tenants we're looking for in those spaces are, you know, we want experience-based retail. So we want Alyssa Linder Designs. For instance, we moved her sewing equipment in there. So in half of her booth space, she's actually making her purses and making her blankets and making the products. And then the other half of her booth is a retail store so she can sell them. Myron Lavoie with Frugal Farmhouse is the same way. We've got a new plant girl in there called Vintage Fern, and she's doing handcrafted macrame plant hangers. She's got a full array of house plants. And we've got a forgery person, Jensen's, in there. It's just been awesome to see these people that don't want to commit to a long-term brick and mortar real estate deal come in and be able to get a space and get in there quick and try it. We're doing month to month where there's no requirements for they got to be there a year, 3 years, or 5 years. We've just tried to be really flexible with them. So we're really excited about the incubator side of what we're doing with the shops. And that is, to us, it just brings people to Brainerd. It brings people to the city of Brainerd. It's a way for businesses to get their foot in the door and to start to fail. You know, I've said all along what's gotten me here today isn't my successes, it's how I got through my failures. It's the mentorship and the people that have helped me through the bad times. Anybody can succeed in good times. You know, right now it's the way the markets are and the way things are happening. It's not hard to make money. So to me, being able to give some of that away and help some other entrepreneurs get started is key. So you'll be hearing some more from us in the future about economic development, and we're excited for what you're doing with your downtown coalition. We've been watching that. It's awesome. We love it. If there's a way we can be part of it or help, please reach out to Derek or I, and we'd like to do what we can. Anyway, I'd just like to introduce myself. I'll be around a little more as things are getting stable. I want to be more in the community, more involved with economic development. So, any questions?
Any questions would put us over an hour, Mr.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins, for that update. Appreciate it very much. Very intelligent comment, Gabe. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. See you next month.